Yo, what's up, Project Maniacs? It's Tiny Mark Day, and it's also freezing in Durban. It's 12 degrees here, and I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt. I don't know what's going on, but you know, we're here and we're doing the thing. We got a lot to talk about today, okay? We watched Superman. I have actually watched the movie twice. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about The Legend of Zelda, the controversy around that. Mortal Kombat, Fantastic Four. We're going to hype that up because Fantastic Four is very soon. Coming next week. It is next week, right? It is next week. Yes, correct. I'm gonna bitch and moan and probably have a take on Superman because it needs to be done. That's just the way it is. I wanted to do a Superman supercut, but I don't know. You know, when it's cold in Durban, people don't really come out. It's just part and parcel of living in Durban. When it rains, people do nothing. Okay, so the topic of today is controversy. Now, there's been a lot of controversy, and we talk about all sorts of stuff at Project Mayhem. We talk about movies, we talk about drama, we agree, we don't agree. We have giant debates where when customers come into the shop, they look at us like we're crazy, but they all deep down want to be involved in the conversation because this is what we know and love. I mean, none of this stuff exists, right? No comic books, no movies, none of this stuff is real, but we still love it so much that we'll argue to the death about all of this stuff. And that is what we like to do at Project Mayhem. Now, one of the major controversies coming out of the world, if you haven't seen it, they are making a Legend of Zelda movie. Alright, now, The Legend of Zelda is probably one of the greatest games of all time. Okay, it's one of the original hyped games. It was one of the biggest games ever made in popularity. It really exploded onto the scene. It's got such a rich storyline. Nintendo did an incredible job. It's an amazing IP, and it has evolved over the years to really become something absolutely incredible. Now, they have made a movie about The Legend of Zelda, and people are coming out in arms that Zelda is not being cast as a trans woman, because in the games, they all assumed that she was a trans woman. And yes, again, the internet has exploded because they're freaking out over some obscene fact in some imaginary game that needs to follow some kind of ideology. And I'm seeing this more and more as we go through life and watch more movies and watch more cinema and shows and all of this stuff. It's absolutely wild to behold. I don't know how you guys feel when you go and watch a movie. Do you like having modern day topics and politics put into your movies and TV shows? I mean, at some point, it's cool, but, you know, when we start having arguments in real life about someone's gender in a film, I don't know, it feels a bit weird. It feels a bit strange. But I'm excited for the Legend of Zelda movie. I think it's going to be cool. The cast looks great. I think they're going to do a great job with that flick. So I'm really pumped to go and check that out. But the same thing's happening with Mortal Kombat 2. I don't know if you have seen the trailer. But the trailer featured Jade. As cool as it is, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, I mean, who cares that someone... Who cares if you gender swap or race swap someone? It shouldn't matter, right? But when you're dealing with RPs that are 30, 40, 60 years old, I think there's a point where, you know, you've already hardwired characters into the franchise. You know, it seems a bit weird to suddenly make this giant switch of race or gender, which seems strange. Now, I'm still quite keen for Mortal Kombat. Carl Urban is one of my favorite actors.
To become the hero.
I think he'll do a great job as Johnny Cage, even though he's maybe a little old now. But I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be fun.
Get over here!
Only the strong survive.
But yeah, again, controversy around Mortal Kombat 2, it's crazy. It's crazy that this is the time we live in where movies, cinema, and pop culture is becoming a talk of political and ideological contention, which is wild. I don't know how you guys feel about this kind of stuff. Let me know in the comments what you feel about that being put in our TVs, movies, and cinemas. This is the part of the episode where we talk about Superman, and it has been quite a week. There's been a lot of controversy around the film. I obviously watched it with the team at Project Mayhem. We went to the first screening with all of us together, and coming out of the movie the first time, Most people really enjoyed the film. In fact, pretty much everyone enjoyed the film. They came out saying it was a really fun, easy, cool Superman story to get behind. I, on the other hand, with another friend of mine, did not quite enjoy it as much. I think, upon having discussions with everyone and watching all the controversy and trying to form an opinion about it, I think, the hate that I had for it was more a kind of, how would I say, a cleansing of the Snyderverse, because we all have to come and swallow the hard to swallow pill, which is the Snyderverse is dead, okay? And Man of Steel, it's not going to be around anymore. I think that was part and parcel why I didn't really enjoy the movie to start with. I watched it a second time with my brother, and my brother's a giant Superman fan, and he really liked the film. He really, really enjoyed it. He thought it was fun, it was easy, as I've said, and there were problems with the movie. I think there were too many characters involved in the movie. The plot was a bit convoluted at times, but when you watch the movie more and more and you start to appreciate what's inside and behind all of the maybe crazy characters and so much going on, is that it's actually an ode to the old school Superman. There's some really cool nods to the 60s kind of Superman, and that's what it's all about, really. Especially when he goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and he's got the automatons there. Crypto's a really cool version. I mean, the Supergirl I really like. In fact, I'm more excited for Supergirl than I am for Superman. I still rate the movie a 6 out of 10. I think a lot of people at Project Mayhem rate the movie a 6 out of 10. There are issues with it, but I think a lot of people got behind it because it's fresh, it's new, it's not as dark, it's easier to digest. The gripes I think a lot of people had was the suit wasn't as cool as we all thought it would be. I think a lot of people had issues with that. Everyone seemed to love Lex Luthor, although, I judge all the movies I watch on how good the villain is, because a villainous character is far more interesting than the hero, generally speaking. So, I really enjoyed some aspects of the movie, but there was a lot that I didn't really find appealing to me, but the vast majority really enjoyed it. It's had a good box office opening. Surprisingly enough, Ant-Man Quantumania had a higher opening than this movie, and Ant-Man Quantumania opened at 225 million. This movie opened at 122. It's beaten Man of Steel. It has not done well internationally, so we'll see what happens as the movie progresses, but I think the overall feel is that it's a good Superman movie, and it's an ode to the comics, and I think a lot of people think that, or feel that when they came out of the movie, they wanted to go pick up a Superman comic again, and that's what it's all about, right? I wanted to talk a bit more about it and get some more people, but it's cold in Durban and no one wants to come out today, so you're going to have to deal with me. That's just the way it is. Okay. Now, this is the bread and butter of the show. We're going to be talking about comic books every week. We have Fantastic Four First Steps. This is obviously for the movie coming out. It's a very interesting comic. It's more like a biography almost. It is an interesting take on a comic, on a comic book, which I don't think it's based on the movie. I mean, it's got odes to all the characters. They've got kind of biographies like in the actual character sheets and stuff, which is pretty cool. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if they're going to make more of this kind of comic, but it's interesting to say the least. Now, for the most awesome comic I've seen in a very, very long time, we have Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. Look at this. Check this out. It's a double-page spread. Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. Look at that. It's insane. I haven't read the comic. I'm not going to lie. Quicksilver in here. There's so many characters that are... We got Thor. We got all the Fantastic Four. We got Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch. So many characters that are facing off against Godzilla. Absolutely insane. Come and check out this comic, man. It looks really, really cool. There's another alternative cover here for Godzilla versus the Marvel Universe. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Super, super sick stuff. Written by Walker Stoney. Again, last week, we had a discussion about what comic books you should really have on your shelf. Batman Hush, A Killing Joke, The Watchmen, a whole bunch of stuff that I talked about last week. But we talked about Hush and how really great that comic is. I just want to tie this on here quickly so that I can actually fondle some comics. This is the Batman Hush version, but they've got... they've made some comic book covers that are all tied together. Look at that. Look at that. There's comics all put together so they make one frame. That is super dope. Hey? Batman Hush. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And also some of the famous writers here. It's Lee, obviously Jim Lee doing the art. Williams, Sinclair, and Loeb. Incredible writer for Batman. And then we have other things like, if you are playing Marvel Rivals at the moment, we have a comic called Jeff the Shark. How does the song go? No, I'm thinking Lost in Space. I don't know what is the song that Jeff sings in Marvel Rivals? I'm losing my mind. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to do the voice. It's not working. But very cool. Those are some of the comics that we have on Project Man this week. Whoa, we got Fantastic Four coming up. We're very excited. Very excited for the screening.